Hey guys, Mr. Wilson here. Today we're going to look at standard form number 1 notes. At the end of this video, you should be able to transform linear equations to standard form and from standard form to slope-intercept form. You should also be able to use the x and y intercept to graph a line in standard form. Okay, here's standard form of an equation. It is ax plus by equals c. Okay, notice where x and y are in relation to the equal sign. They're on the same side. Okay, where were they in slope-intercept form? Well, they're on different sides. Okay, y was alone. Okay, so notice you can't look at this equation and find the slope. Or the y-intercept for that matter. Okay, we could only find the slope when y was by itself. When y was by itself, the slope was the value by x. Okay, so in standard form, you cannot just look at it or see the slope from the equation. So these first 3 questions, they ask us to find the slope in standard form. So remember, we won't find the slope in standard form, but we can convert this back to slope-intercept form, or not back to, but to slope-intercept form in order to find the slope. So I'm subtracting 6x from both sides. Then I'll divide by 4. Y equals, we got negative 6x over 4. So 6 over 4. That should actually simplify to 3 over 2. What's erasing that? Okay, so negative 3 over 2. X, 20 divided by 4 is 5. Okay, but the question's asking me about my slope, and that's negative 3/2. Okay, number 2, doing that same thing. I will get it into slope-intercept form, which just means get y by itself. Solve for y. Okay, so from there, I'm dividing everything by 3. Notice there's 2 different ways that you can write this. It means the same thing. You got to divide everything by 3 on both sides. So y equals negative 1/3 x plus 4. Again, the slope is the number in front of x. And then number 3, subtracting 2x from both sides, I get negative y equals negative 2x plus 7. Okay, y is still not by itself. Remember, this was a negative y, so I need to make sure I either divide or multiply by negative 1. Y equals 2x minus 7. Okay, and my slope is the number in front of x. In this case, that's 2. Okay, so if standard form is not helpful in finding the slope, what is it good for? This equation is good for finding the y-intercept and x-intercept. Okay, we've talked about and used the y-intercept. So with that information, what is the x-intercept? Well, if our y-intercept happens on our y-axis, our x-intercept happens on our x-axis. This tells us where the graph crosses the x-axis. Okay, and so a y-intercept has the coordinates of a y-intercept will have the coordinates 0, and then whatever this number is, I'll just say y. But an x-intercept will have the coordinates of x and then 0. Okay, so it won't go up and down. So x-intercept always has 0 second. Similar to how y-intercept always had 0 first. Okay. Now it says find the x-intercept and y-intercept from each equation. And this is how you do it. You can find this, and I like to call it the cover-up method, but we'll explain something different first. Because our y value, our y-intercept, always has 0 for the x, what this equation allows us to do is to plug those coordinates into the equation to make it true. So with our with our y-intercept, we know that x is going to be 0. So if I'm trying to find my y-intercept, I'm going to plug 0 in for x. 4 times 0 plus 9y equals 36. Now you might be like, well, why am I doing that? Remember, for our y-intercept, it was always on the y-axis. Our x value was always 0. Similar to how in our slope-intercept form, our coordinates should make the equation true, that happens also in standard form. Our coordinates should make the equation true. So when we know that our x value in our y-intercept is 0, we can plug that 0 value in and solve for y. So 4 times 0 is 0. We're left with 9y equals 36. Divide by 9, y equals 4. Our y-intercept then is 4. Its coordinates would be 0, 4. Okay, if we do the same thing with our x-intercept, well, what do we know about the y value on our x-intercept? Well, the y value is 0. So we do the same thing. 4x plus 9 times 0 equals 36. 9 times 0 is 0. So 4x equals 36. Divide by 4. X equals 9. Our x-intercept is 9, 0. Okay, we can try that again on number 2. We'll find the x-intercept first. Again, because we know that our y value is 0, what we'll do, we'll substitute 0 for our y. Equals negative 60. That gives us 5x equals negative 60. Right? Basically, kind of get rid of that all together, right? Divide by 5. X would be negative 12. So our x-intercept is at negative 12, 0. Do the same thing for y, knowing that with our y-intercept, our x value is 0. Plug that in. Minus 4 times, I don't really want to say times anything right now, I'll just say 4y, because we don't know what that is yet, equals negative 60. So negative 4y equals negative 60. Divide by negative 4 on both sides, and y will be 15. So our y-intercept is 15. And so 0, 15. Okay. Number 3, we can do the same thing. You should probably try that one. If you haven't tried either of these before. As I try to find my x-intercept. As I try to find my x-intercept. There we go. So 3x minus, plugging in 0 for y, equals 9. So 3x equals 9. X will be 3. My x-intercept's at 3. That coordinate is 3, 0. Find y. 3 times 0 minus y equals 9. So negative y equals 9. Divide by negative 1 or multiply by negative 1. Y will equal negative 9. 0, negative 9. And so that's how we find our intercepts using standard form. Okay, we can use that information and graph in standard form a little differently than we do in slope-intercept form as well. Okay, when we graph in standard form, our process is going to be to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept, plot both points in the graph, and then draw your line. And that's it. So as we look at this, I get 6x plus 2y equals 12. I'm going to find my x-intercept just like I did before. Okay, so 6x, plug 0 in for y. 6x equals 12. Divide by 6. X equals 2. So my x-intercept is at 2, 0. 1, 2, 0. Got to be extra careful that you're placing these points where they belong. Okay, my y-intercept, kind of go through the same thing. I'll do blue because that's what I've been doing, changing colors. My y-intercept plugs 0 in for x, and I have the equation 2y equals 12. Divide by 2, y equals 6. So my y-intercept should be at 6. That's at 0, 6. So that should be up here. Boom, I have my 2 points. And so then as I am graphing these then I'll make sure that there. I try to connect these. All right, there's my line. And the important part is, I need to make sure I put this over here, that my 2 points, the line goes through my 2 points, the x and y. Okay, there's that. Numero dos, doing the same thing. Okay, so I need to find the x-intercept. Basically call it the cover-up method, right? If you cover up the y's, it's the same thing as plugging in 0 for y. 8x equals 24, divided by 8, x equals 3. My x coordinate would be 3, 0. Okay, I do the same thing over here with the y, but I'm going to cover up the x, right? When I cover up the x, I don't want to cover up that sign in front of y. This is negative 4y equals 24. Divide both sides by negative 4, y equals negative 6. Okay, and so now I have those 2 points, one at 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 0. One at 0, negative 6, down here. And then the line going through both of those points. And there we have it. All right. So we can graph, we can use standard form to find the information. How about getting out of standard form and going back to slope-intercept form? Okay, here's the rule with standard form. Putting a line into standard form. A, B, and C cannot be fractions. So when putting an equation into standard form, you must have whole numbers, integers. Let's just say integers. And so you'll see that in the directions a lot, and it'll say write each equation in standard form using integers. Basically, don't have fractions in your answer. Let's do it. Standard form, x and y are both on the same side, and there's no fractions. So for number 1, let's try to get that done. Add 4x to both sides. And then we have 4x plus y equals 7. Pretty easy. X and y are on the same side, no fractions, we're done. This is standard form exactly how we want it. Number 2, we're going to get x and y on the same side. I subtract 2/3 x from both sides. And so now I have negative 2/3 x plus y equals 4. I can't be done here. We have fractions in front of x. Now the question is, how do we get rid of that fraction? Well, this is how we do it. We look at the denominator, just kind of like we did with our functions chapter, right? We look at the denominator and we say, well, our denominator is 3. If we multiply this by the denominator, we get rid of that. And so what we'll do is we'll multiply both sides of this equation, okay, to keep it balanced by that denominator. And what that does is we distribute here, we'll get negative 2x plus 3y equals 12. And now it's in standard form using integers. Try that on the last problem. I'm going to add 1/5 x to both sides. So I have 1/5 x plus y equals negative 9. In order to get my final answer, my denominator is 5. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. And that gives me 1x, just x, plus 5y equals negative 45. Okay. And there we have it. Standard form using integers. All right, now it says find the slope, x-intercept, and y-intercept of 2x minus 4y equals 28. So as we look at this equation as it is now, this equation is set up to find the x and y-intercept pretty easily, okay, because it's in standard form. So I'm going to find the x-intercept, 2x equals 28, divide by 2, x equals 14. My x-intercept's at 14, 0. My y-intercept, I'll cover up the x, but not that sign, negative 4y equals 28, divide by negative 4, y equals negative 7. So my y-intercept is at negative 7, or coordinate would be 0, negative 7. Okay, found both of those, didn't need to change this equation very much. Now slope, a different story, because for slope, I can't see it in standard form. So I want to change it to slope-intercept form, which means get y by itself. So to do that, I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. Get negative 4y equals negative 2x plus 28. Divide by negative 4 on both sides, on all sides. Okay, and what that gives me, y equals negative 2 divided by negative 4 is positive 1/2 x. 28 divided by negative 4 is negative 7. So my slope, 1/2. Which form is good for finding the slope? Well, slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Which slope is good for finding the x-intercept? Standard form. Which slope is good for finding the y-intercept? Actually, both. We found the y-intercept in using standard form because that's what we were given it at the beginning of the problem. But even in slope-intercept form, our y-intercept was just right there, negative 7. So either way, really wasn't a bunch of work either way. Okay. All right, so there you go, standard form. See ya.